Well, thanks for showing up for 7 a.m. gentle yoga this morning. And since we want to do some neck and shoulders and arm stuff, I think we're just going to start in seated. I'll scooch back so you can see me. And you can be in just an easy cross-legged seated pose, or you can put a block or a blanket up under your hips if that feels better. And we'll just start with a few gentle shoulder rolls, slowly bringing your shoulders up to your ears, kind of scrunching them up, gently dropping them back down. You can switch directions so that you're rolling your shoulders forward, or you can do one at a time, starting to bring some movement in that area. And then let the shoulders relax down away from the ears. Reach your fingertips down towards the mat and let your right ear drop to your right shoulder. Reach down through the left fingertips to create lengthening between your left shoulder and your left ear. If you want to, you can bring the right hand up to the left ear to gently guide it down without putting any weight or pressure on it. And we'll take one more breath here and release the hand back down to the mat. Let your head float back up to center. And then drop your left ear towards your left shoulder. And you can decide if you want to bring your left hand to your right ear on this side or not. One more breath. And release the hand down. Bring the head back to center. And we'll take a really easy, gentle twist. Bringing your right hand to your left knee. Your left hand can come behind you. As you inhale, sit up nice and tall, almost like there's an invisible string connected to the crown of your head that's drawing you upwards. And every time you exhale, let it draw you into the twist, starting with the head, just starting to look over your left shoulder. And release back to center, switching sides. Bringing your left hand to your right knee. Sit up tall. And then let your breath guide the twist. It's okay if it's a very subtle twist. It doesn't have to look like much. Sometimes it takes a very small movement to get a very big sensation. And release back to center. We'll take a little bit of a side stretch. So once you come back to center, inhale both arms up overhead. Maybe take a minute to fully extend through the fingertips. Drop the shoulders down away from the arms. And then release your right fingertips down to the mat as you start to reach over with your left. And again, it doesn't have to be a very big move to get a big feeling. And if you find that your gaze is coming downwards, that your left shoulder is collapsing in, pull that left shoulder back to open the chest. And inhale, let the top arm draw you up to center, both arms up overhead. And then exhale, release over to the other side. Shining the heart forwards. And come back up to center. Reach tall one more time. And release both arms down to your sides. So we're going to move into tabletop position. So you can move any blocks, blankets that you're sitting on. And you can come forward onto your hands and knees so that your shoulders are stacked directly over your wrists and your hips are over your knees. And we're going to take a few cat-cows, and you can move through. We're going to do 5 cycles. You can move through with your own breath. As you inhale, drop your belly, lift your tailbone, drop your shoulders away from the ears as you gaze up, and exhale, round your spine. Let your head and neck relax as you press your heart through your back up towards the ceiling. Inhaling to cow. Exhaling to cat. And taking the remaining 3 cycles with your breath. Starting to link your breath to your movement. You can go however fast or however slow your body wants to go. But whenever you're done, we'll just meet in child's pose. And in child's pose, you have your knees spread wide towards the edge of the mat and your big toes come to touch as you set your hips back on your heels and reach your hands forward on the mat. And your forehead may or may not come down towards the ground. And as you're resting here in child's pose, maybe starting to notice some of the areas of your body that are tight or need some attention. Just allow yourself to feel gratitude towards yourself. Thank yourself for showing up on your mat this morning, for taking time out of your day. 'Cause that's definitely important for all of us. And let your belly fill and expand as you breathe in. Maybe you feel your chest expand as well. Filling and emptying as you invite clean, fresh air into your lungs and expel everything that you don't need with every exhale. And on your next inhale, rise up to tabletop position, bringing those knees under your hips again. And we're setting up for thread the needle. So shift your weight into your right palm with your fingers spread wide, knuckles pressing into the mat. Inhale your left arm up to the ceiling. And as you exhale, slide it under your armpit, bringing that left shoulder down towards the mat. And the shoulder might rest completely on the mat. Your cheek might rest on the mat. Or you might grab some blocks or blankets or pillows, anything that you have handy, and you might use them to help your shoulder meet the ground. And if your right hand is extended on the mat in front of you, bring it back under your shoulder. Press in through the right hand, lifting your left arm up once again, and release it back down to the mat. And then we'll do the other side. Shift your weight into your left hand. Inhale the right arm up. Exhale, thread it through under your left armpit, bringing your shoulder down towards the mat. Ear can come towards the mat. If you want to, that left hand can slide up towards the top of your mat. Sometimes this pose requires a little bit of experimentation to find out the sweet spot where you're getting the stretch that feels good. And your two sides might be different, and that is okay. Continue to breathe and send fresh oxygenated blood to those muscles that are stretching right now. And when you feel even with your other side, when you feel balanced, bring that left hand under your left shoulder, press yourself up, reach the right fingertips up to the ceiling, and then release them back down. You can take whatever organic movements feel good here. You can hinge back and forth a little bit, or make S shapes with your body, maybe even some circles. And we'll get ready to move into our first downward facing dog. So if you'd like to give yourself a little bit more of a wider stance, you can move your hands one handprint forward on the mat, tuck your toes, and then lift your knees, lift your hips, and point the tailbone towards the ceiling. You can take some time to pedal out your down dog by straightening one leg and then the other. Warming up the ankles, saying hello to the hamstrings. And it's okay if your legs are not straight in down dog. Your knees might move towards straightening, your heels might move towards the mat, but you can bend your knees as much as you need to so that you are drawing your heart towards your thighs and lengthening the spine. Take a full breath here. Inhale and exhale. And then gaze towards the front of your mat at the spot between your hands and take tiny tiptoe steps to bring your feet between your hands so that you're coming into a forward fold. You can adjust your stance a little bit. If you want to have your feet hip width apart, where that's about 2 fists apart. Most people feel most stable with their feet under their hips. And let the top half of your body just hang loose. You can sway side to side a little bit, or rest your pinkies in your elbows. And you can make sure that your head and neck are released by shaking your head yes very gently, shaking your head no, and then shaking your head yes again. And very slowly start to roll up through the spine, coming to standing. Maybe engage your core just a little bit to support your spine as it comes up. As you uncurl, your head and neck are the very last things to come up. And your hands can rest by your sides. Take a moment to root down through your feet. See if your weight is back in your heels, if it's forward in the balls of your feet. And find a middle point where you're balanced. Maybe spread your toes out wide and plant them back into the mat. And inhale your arms up overhead for extended mountain pose. Reaching the fingertips up toward the sky. And then bring your hands together as you exhale. Fold forward, bringing your hands through heart center. On your next inhale, bring your hands up to your shins or your thighs. Squeeze your shoulder blades together, coming to a halfway lift. And exhale, forward fold. Plant your hands on the mat. And this time we're going to go straight into a high plank. So step one foot back and then the other foot back. Squeeze your elbows into your rib cage as you lower all the way down, belly to the mat. Release everything. And then without putting much weight at all into your hands, as you inhale, peel your chest up off the mat for a low cobra. Nothing too intense, just starting to open up the chest. And release one cheek to the mat. Inhale, rise up to cobra again. Exhale, release the other cheek to the mat. And inhale, one more cobra. Maybe come up a little bit higher, maybe not. Either way is okay. And exhale, release everything. And bring your hands back under your shoulders, press weight into your palms, and press yourself back to tabletop. And from tabletop, step your right foot between your hands. So you're in a kneeling crescent here. And just take some time to hinge back and forth, starting to warm up the hips. You can use a block here if you want, if you're not ready to get too low and deep into it. And as you're hinging back and forth, start to feel okay when I hinge forward. You might feel this in your left hip flexor. When you hinge back, might feel that in a different part of your body, maybe in your right leg. And if you want to, if your hips are feeling warmed up, when you hinge back, you can start to set your back. You can start to set your hips on your back foot, which would be your left foot. You don't have to sit all the way down. You could stay right here as you straighten the front leg, flex the foot so your toes are pointing up towards the ceiling. If you're getting a nice hamstring stretch, you can stay right here. If you would like to lower all the way down, that's an option. But find your sweet spot, your best pose here. And you can also keep a little micro bend in that front leg so that you're not hyperextending. And then bend the front knee, hinge forward one more time. And how do you guys feel about doing runner's lunge today? Do we want to go that far into the hips? Thumbs up or thumbs down? I think I got a thumbs up there. Okay, we'll give it a go. If it's not your jam, you can hang out in child's pose. If you want to go for the runner's lunge, toe heel your right foot up to the right corner of your mat. And you can adjust your back knee a little if you need to. And you can stay right here, or you can start to lower down to your forearms. Take 2 more breaths here. And if you are down on your forearms or folded forward completely, bring your hands under your shoulders, press yourself up and back so that weight is coming into your left knee. Then you can send your front foot all the way back and you can stretch it out, you can shake it out, whatever feels good. You could even take little hip circles. And when you're ready, come back to tabletop and we'll set up on the other side. Shift weight into your right knee, step the left foot through between your hands. And start slow and easy by just hinging back and forth. And you can start to make those hinging moves a little bit bigger. Until you can straighten the front knee, flex the foot, and you can stay here for your hamstring stretch. If that feels good, option to sit back on your right heel. Fair warning, that was my knee popping, so if your knees don't get too happy, then maybe this is a good place to stay. And take whatever time that you need here. Sometimes our opposite sides need a little bit more time or a little less time. So listen to your body. You decide when it's time to come out of this pose. And when you do, move slowly, move gently. And if you would like to take runner's lunge on this side, you can toe heel your left foot to the left front corner of your mat. Adjust your back knee as needed. And start to lower down. You can stay right here with arms straight. And if you find yourself tensing your neck, tensing your shoulders, you could stay engaged in this pose and release the neck, release the head, and soften those muscles that usually have to work so hard to hold our heads up during the day. Keep breathing here. If your body's starting to build up a lot of heat, you can exhale through your mouth to release that heat. And bring your hands under your shoulders. Start to press yourself back. And then scoot that front foot backwards until you can send it all the way back behind you. To stretch it out, shake it out, get blood flow back into it. If you did hip circles on the other side, you might want to try hip circles on this side. And then you can set it down, coming back into tabletop. And then from here, cross your ankles, sit back, and we'll come back into an easy seated position. And from seated, we'll go into cobbler's pose. So for cobbler, bring the soles of your feet together with your knees bent. And you can decide how close to your body you want your heels to be. Because depending on how close or how far, You may be stretching different parts of your body. So let your knees drop open naturally. There's no need to force them down. If it does feel like a very extreme stretch in your hip creases, you can prop your knees up. And if you want to stay here, you can stay here. If you'd like to fold forward over your legs and gently start to hinge from the hips, leading with your heart towards your feet. And when you can't hinge anymore, release the head and round forward. And if you do have pillows or something handy, or even a block, sometimes it can be nice to put a block between your feet and your head to give your head a place to rest. And you'll slowly start to move out of this pose. If you are using blocks, you can start to move them out of the way. Maybe use your hands to bring yourself back up to sitting. Since it took us a while to get into the pose, take a while to get out. Maybe even use your hands to close your knees. You can stretch them out long in front of you. Maybe windshield wiper back and forth a little. And from here, we're going to move into what I think is probably a new pose. So I'm going to scooch up a little bit closer to you. All right, can you guys still hear me? All right, cool. So this is when it can feel really good on the shoulders or really bad. So if it feels really bad for you, please don't do it. But this is a good one for opening up the front of the shoulders. And it is a bit of a restorative pose, so it's a long hold. But the idea is that you're bringing the back of your hand between your shoulder blades, right between them. And if it doesn't get there, if it's more like that, that's fine. But what you want to do is instead of having this shoulder caved in, you want this pose to draw that shoulder back. And once you've got this hand here, then you can actually lie down on the ground with your palm towards the ground, face up. And like I said, if it doesn't feel good, don't do it. If your fingers start getting real tingly and you lose circulation, roll out of it. But this should feel very good and very relaxing. And if you haven't already released the pose, you can come out of it by dropping your knees or rolling over to your left side so that your right arm can come out. And if you want to try this on the other side, put the back of your left hand between your shoulder blades or reaching towards it, and then roll back down onto the mat. And since we're not symmetrical beings, if this side does not feel as good as the other side, that is okay. No obligation to stay here. If you do want to relax here for a few breaths, let that left shoulder drop even deeper towards the mat. Whenever you're ready to come out of this bind, roll over onto your right side to release the left hand. And no need to even sit up because we're going to set up for our final Shavasana. So take whatever last minute poses you want. If you want to draw one knee into your chest and then the other to give your knees a hug, you can do that. If you want to release your legs down to the mat, reach your arms up overhead and take a big good morning stretch. Maybe that will feel good. And when you've moved what needs to be moved and wiggled what needs to be wiggled, find your resting pose for Shavasana. And this can be corpse pose with your legs out flat on the mat, feet fallen open, arms by your sides. If you want, you can have your knees bent with your feet flat on the floor to support your low back. Or you might choose to rest one hand on your belly and one hand on your heart so that you can feel your breath move. And enjoy this time of rest when you let your yoga practice sink in and set in. And maybe you take a moment to go back to that gratitude, that feeling of thanking your body for the hard work that it does for you, thanking yourself for showing up on your mat this morning. Or anything else that might come to mind that you feel overwhelming gratitude for. Start to deepen your breathing. Bring awareness back into your body. Notice where your arms and your legs and your back are touching the ground. And start to bring some small movements back in. Maybe you wiggle your fingers and then your toes a little bit. Or you might want to roll your wrists and your ankles in small circles. Starting to wake the body back up. And whenever you're ready, you can roll onto your right side, drawing your knees up and using your arm as a pillow. You might keep your eyes closed here, or you might flutter them open to let some light in. When you want to, you can press weight into your hands to push yourself gently up to seated. And I want to thank you all so much for doing yoga with me so early in the morning on a Tuesday. The light in me sees, honors, and reflects the light in all of you. Namaste. Thank you, thank you. Do you guys like the arm one, or was that a bit much?
It was okay.
Yeah. Did it feel good on the shoulders, or did you feel it more in like other areas of the back or the arm?
Well, I have a really chronic shoulder blade thing on my left side, so I felt it there mostly.
Okay. Like in a good way or like in a oh hello pain way?
Little of both.
Okay. So maybe not like an everyday thing to do, but good to know. Oh, and it looks like I think we had Ryan join us. Ryan, are you on there?
Yeah, I'm on here.
Oh, hi.
My video doesn't work for some reason,
Oh,
so
that is okay. I just wanted to say hi because I didn't see you pop on when I started recording the class. So, hi, I'm Danielle.
hi.
Thanks for joining this morning.
Oh, thank you for having me.
Absolutely. All right, I will see you guys later.
Have a good day.
You too.